Hello, my name is Chris Lincoln and I am the editor of the Burnley office for www.vavel.com. And what I'm looking to show you today is how Burnley have turned around a slump of 11 games without victory to record 3 in a row. Now, before they entered that part of the season, in the first half of the campaign, they were very much structured in a 4-1-4-1 formation that worked particularly well. They were one of the toughest units in the league to break down, and that was based around 3 players in particular. If I show you this triumvirate here, so Jack Cork, Ben Mee, and James Tarkowski in that triangle there. Now, all 3 of those players, particularly Tarkowski and Mee as defenders, and Jack Cork looking from a midfield point of view, topped the number of blocks in the Premier League. There was very few players who could challenge them in terms of the number of blocks they made. So breaking down those 3 was particularly challenging. Supported by Stephen Ward and Matthew Lowton in wide positions, they're a very tight unit, and teams from the top half of the table, bottom half of the table, found it extremely difficult to break the Burnley defence down. Now, another player didn't get mentioned much for the work he did is Stephen Defoe. Now, Defoe has since picked up an injury, but he was one of the top players in terms of interceptions in the Premier League. So whilst Cork, Mee and Tarkowski were making blocks, Defoe was nipping him, breaking up passes, breaking up play, and being the first line of attack for Burnley when they got the ball. He was able to release the wide players, Goodmanson, Lennon since he signed in January, but previously Scott Arfield, and they were able to create chances for likes of Chris Wood, Sam Vokes, and Ashley Barnes. And Burnley won a number of games 1-0. Now, since that has happened, as with any team, injuries are going to happen. And if I show you what's changed, okay? So particularly looking at defence, that 3 has been broken up. And Kevin Long has played a number of games, partly in place of Ben Mee, but also in place of James Tarkowski as well. Now, Tarkowski proved to be a huge miss, and his importance of the pitch has obviously been noted by his England call-up. Now, Long here just couldn't close down players as quickly as Tarkowski, so players were able to find space in and around himself and create opportunities and score goals. Both Stephen Ward, Matthew Lowton also picked up injuries as well. Their replacements, Phil Barsley and Charlie Taylor, had a similar problem. And all of a sudden, Burnley's tight back 4 was completely exposed, and teams were breaking them down easily and scoring goals. Stephen Defoe, as we mentioned, picked up an injury. So in terms of interceptions, Burnley weren't picking up the ball as often. And it was given less opportunity for the likes of Goodmanson and Lennon to break forward and give Ashley Barnes an opportunity to have a striker goal. So looking at what's happened since then, James Tarkowski obviously coming back into play. And what Burnley have tried to do is sometimes they've gone 4-1-4-1 or they've gone 4-4-2. Sam Vokes and Ashley Barnes have been paired together. They've not had the same impact that Sean Dyche would have liked. So Vokes, not quite as mobile as a Chris Wood, for example. Ashley Barnes found himself coming into this area more often than not, so picking the ball up in a number 10 position, which obviously took him out of the game. So Burnley were finding it difficult to find a way through. However, the big change has come simply by tweaking the formation and Chris Wood returning from injury. So these are the formations played by Sean Dyche. Again, players have changed a little bit. George Kevins and Nkudu played on the left wing in the last game. But Sean Dyche has spent 2 hours of the last 3 games playing 4-4-1-1, and he spent 2.5 hours playing 4-4-2. Now, this is because Chris Wood has been building his way back to fitness, missed nearly a dozen games, so obviously he's been breaking him back into the position. Now, in this team over here, the 4-4-1-1, in those 2 hours, Burnley have not scored a goal and conceded 2 across the 3 games they've used that formation in. Now, just one slight change, taking Jeff Hendrick out of this attacking midfield position and putting Chris Wood in instead, has given Burnley a completely different outlook in the way they play. So now with 2 up front, Chris Wood tends to take centre-backs out of the game. His sheer physical presence tends to get both centre-backs, or even all 3 in the case of West Ham, follow him and taken aback by his sheer physicality to try and prevent him from causing problems. Now, what this has done in turn has released Ashley Barnes to make runs into the channels, which again is stretching the defence. So defenders are becoming confused as to what they do. Do they stick with Wood? Do they follow the run of Barnes? And it's creating all sorts of problem. Now, with this formation as well, Burnley have a sense of balance. So Aaron Lennon on the right wing, and whether it's Goodmanson or Nkudu on the left wing, they've got that sheer width, which you don't often see a Burnley team play with. That's been creating opportunities for Wolves going into box for Wood, who we know is strong in the air, and Ashley Barnes as well, who's surprisingly prolific. Now, that formation there, in the 2.5 hours they played that formation in, Burnley have scored 7 goals and not conceded. So compared to this one, half an hour less, not scored, conceded 2 goals. This one scored 7 and not conceded at all. Chris Wood has got 4 of those goals. Ashley Barnes has got 3. And that is how Burnley have turned their form around in the last 3 games. Thank you very much.